environment for in industry for data collection and monitoring of these environments. And then to give the first presentation of the use of tablets to collect data in the field. So, go on.
Yes, thank you, Lars, and thank you all for being here. And I think I'm even allowed to say welcome to Aalborg as being one of the local guys. The agenda for what I'm about to say will be about mobile e-government, registration of protected habitats in Denmark due to the Danish nature conservation, and I didn't make the mistake, Conservation Act, and end up with a demo. The first question will be, why do we call it e-government, mobile e-government, and not just data collection, because at the end it's about data collection. But when we started off working with the first plans of working with mobile equipment in the ministry, we had quite big ambitions, and our intentions were not just to make data collection, but enable and integrate mobility in all aspects of the administrative procedures. Two ways, not just gather information, but also be able to, from the field, to withdraw data and get the information seen in the field. We started off with the first mobile project on the what's called on the concern level, not just for one of the agencies, but as a concern level. We started off in 2010, and we had from the beginning decided to make 6 small projects that covered a lot of aspects of working with mobility. And we have intended to work both strategical and technical. But at the end of 2010, we were overtaken by reality. All our plans of small pilot projects were thrown aside, and we had to redefine the scope because we were facing an enormous challenge from a new project, registering protected habitats in all Denmark. A little about the Danish Nature Conservation Act and versus the European directive. Both or several other legislations, acts have the focus of protect nature, protect habitats. And in Denmark we implemented a Danish Nature Conservation Act back in '92 with a focus of some open land. You can see them on the table to the left, open land natural habitat types. If you focus on this map, you can see when you're talking about the European directives, it's normally quite big size areas, and it would normally be fixed areas. When they're pointed out, they'll have the status and the size that they once have been pointed out at. But when we talk about these protected habitats, you can see them here. It's very small sizes. We even register lakes down to 100 square meters, and marshes, freshwater meadows, and others down to 2,500 square meters. So it's very small size. At the same time, it means that these areas changes over time. You can have, for instance, a marsh that grows into a meadow, and so on. That meant, and now I'll refer to what Thomas told previously. In 2007, when we had a reorganization of the public sector in Denmark, a lot of the tasks from the region, at that time counties they were called, were given to the municipality. Thomas showed about 35 databases that had to be restructured. At the same time, the municipality got the task of register protected habitats. And in a way, this task fell between two chairs, so to say. So after a couple of years, there seemed to be more and more failures when using these registrations. So in 2010, the minister, environmental minister at that time, decided to make a study and an investigation of how bad was the situation. And they made a detailed quality check in 2010, and it turned out that we had 20% variation between what you could see on the orthophoto today and what was registered over the years. Of course, that was too much, and overnight in December 2010, I think it was, the minister and the municipality decided to simply make a total new mapping of the protected habitats. And at that time, we, from the mobile side, we were ready to start implementing and working with our 6 small projects, and overnight we changed our 6 small projects to this major project, registering these habitats all over simply. The task that was given to it was Danish Nature Agency, the agency Thomas belongs to. The task that were given was to start a new mapping based on orthophotos analysis, and the estimated amount of polygons, protected areas polygons, were 240,000 polygons. It ended up at the end of the project have finished in October last year. It ended up with 310,000 polygons. The field inspection, which took place from April 2011 to October 2013, at that time we managed to make 40,000 inspections. We have estimated 38,000. You can see the 3 major tools used for the task. We have here WebGIS. We had simply to make sure that we should use a multi-user tool on a centralized database to ensure consistency and controlled processes. So we established a WebGIS based on ArcGIS server, and it was used for the purpose of simply control the old polygons and register new areas. We found quite a lot of new lakes and areas that we have expected to be farmland that have grown into protected areas. The funny thing is we have expected that there would be a continuous lack of nature, that agriculture activities, urbanization would cut constantly of the nature amount, but it wasn't the case actually. I think I have not this one. Bob here. As you can see, the first results from the test we made, we had only 7% lost nature, but in several municipalities we gained 8 to 14% new nature. So it was a surprising result. After, we had this web GIS on which we have 50, 60 people over the couple of years to register which polygons was so had been undertaking so much changes that we have to go and see them on inspection. And the last year, I think we had 70 people in the field with these two tools. After the field inspection, there have been post-processing, and it will take another year, I think. There's quite a lot of processes to run through. And finally, they will be delivered to the municipality or to I have written DMP, that means the Danish Natural Environment Portal, which Thomas referred to former as the place we have our monitoring data and based for the water monitoring. It's the same portal we use for nature data. And like the situation concerning water, we put the same data from the municipalities and the state monitoring in the same database. What we have focused on starting the process was to make sure that it's very complex data flow, and it's very complex processes we have been working with. You can see here the red process is well, my mouse, no. The red process is the spatial data, the geographic data, and the data concerning the nature environment is the blue data. We will take the blue data directly from the database with some station information, bring them to a form, an e-form on the mobile device, fill out the form, and deliver it back to the database. Concerning the geographical data, it's much more complicated, because what we had to do when we started investigate every single polygon, not just to see how it fits with the situation today, but we have to register over all the years. We have topological maps, and we have historical maps, and we have 8 or 10 or 12 years orthophoto. So we took every polygon and combined it, registered, saw what the registration was for all the years, and used a code to declare, so we would be able afterward to see at what time was it nature, what time was it something else. And afterward, we have used this list to deliver to the municipalities, because some of the changes of the nature are illegal. So it will give the municipalities a possibility to see, okay, have we had an acquirement of changing this area, and if not, they will have the possibility to go to the landowner and what's called stretch things out. When we started the process, from one of the first process drawing, it's what you see here. We defined 19 steps in the geography process. But as you can see here, if this is only step number 8 when we started working with the thing. Step number 8, validating of geometry when you return from the fields to the database. In that step, we have 21 consistent check, 6 topology or domain check, and 10 predefined solutions to conflicts. 37 steps in just one action. So what makes that possible to do that? We have all the way through focused on Yes, we had some business principle right from the start, and the main business principle was the automated processes and automation of processes, and that's what we did. We used a model builder in all the heavy GIS stuff were made in a model builder on an ArcGIS. So defined once, you will make it easy handle similar situations. But of course, there will be situations where you have to decide overlapping polygons whether they belong to the one side or the other. But the tools are standard in the ArcGIS. So we have this idea that we couldn't have done a task of that size without tools as strong as that. And then it says demo, and I'm looking at you. Time 5. Okay. And 5 minutes to show you the value of our mobile GIS system it's only possible because it's a very efficient and easy to use system. And I think it is. You have to imagine. I'm working with a mouse on the ordinary screen, but it's made for tablet. So I have just one mouse, but in the field you'll have 2 thumbs, and 2 thumbs is what it takes. We have some bottoms concerning the project. I have to say. The project is set up in a sort of, it's called a resource builder, where you put the data in and then download the project. So it's a local installation, and it's quite heavy. It's for professional use. It's not for just asking your neighbor what they feel about things you're doing on the field or things like that. It's professional. It's professional use, and we have here some other tools. But the main the main tool you find here on this solar button, and of course you can navigate. Which one I need as a traditional GIS. So what you will do normally when you start a session is to go into your manage edits, and you can get data. I forgot to say, these yellow polygons. It's the polygons that which are made by the people who make the aero orthophoto analysis. They point out the areas that have to have an inspection. The colored areas are the pre-registered areas, but we are not supposed or not allowed to change in the original data. We are only allowed to change in the data that we afterwards have to fit into the original data. So you can, when you have downloaded for this specific area you want to work in, you will go and get all the yellow polygons. You can identify and see what it's all about. And here you have again think of using your left thumb. It's very easy to go to see the attributes. You can go and change the status of the attributes, and you can go and see what if we have lost change status. Is it due to yes, whatever? There's several opportunities here you can see. And when you started registering the monitoring to the nature database, it's from the same menu you go to an XML scheme, and it will now take the unique identifier from the geography and put it into the e-form, and the biological people just have to fill out this form. Very simple as it seems. It must be, they can manage 6 a day. Other features is that you can, of course, go and collect. If you find something new, you can collect the features out in the field. You can choose several tools using the map. You can use the average position of the GPS, or you can stream the GPS position. So, and afterwards, finishing the job, you just go back to the manage edits, post updates, and what is the main idea in this tool and also in the e-form? We choose these two exactly because of it contains the infrastructure. As a user, you do not need to know anything about how you organize your data back at the office or on the computer. Everything is organized in the infrastructure of the ArcGIS server, and in the e-form is from an Adobe lifecycle, it's called. We're not going to use that anymore, just to satisfy Thomas at least. It's old. It was actually from a time where smartphone was not invented yet. So, but Adobe found out a way to make it smart to make these field investigations. So, so it's going to be renewed. But the GIS, I think, is still for this sort of purposes. It's still on top of what you can expect. Well.
During field works, do you change geometries or do you digitize something?
Yes, you can both digitize and change geometry. And there's a reason that I will not show you how to do it, because we, in this first version, we made this editor ourselves, and we hope that we have a new ready for next year. So it's not really good, but editing is okay. But normally we will say we will use the web tool for it. You can make your marks on the map, and you can, of course, register new is okay, but editing is bad. But you can bring whatever back home, and you have a user interface where you can change the polygons back home, and that will be a lesson. You can't finish your job in the field, no way. A lot of times, of course, you can, but you will face a lot of natural obstructions, so you can't finish the job there.
And are the users happy with it?
Oh yeah, we actually made on Danish. We made what's called I need a word.
User survey.
User survey, yes, we did, and we even did take some wrong. Så prøver vi lige den der. Og we even did take some photos while we asked them, and we asked them of some general. This is very Danish. We asked them on from general issues, because of course the e-form, it was rubbish in the way they saw it, because it was too slowly. So there was a lot of small problems that make them react very strongly. But what really matters was when we said for similar tasks in the future, will this be a good way to work? And they would say that very satisfied is 46%, and only 9% said it's not good. And we asked them, I think the very best is this one. Well, we asked them, they have a norm. Normally they will have you expect them to make monitoring on 6 locations a day, but using these tools, they said 89% that they would do better than the norm. But the point here is that if you live up to the norm, you have already saved 25 or 20%, because 20 or 25% is the time you normally would use to enter your data after your fieldwork. So, and it is done with this system. So there's quite a lot to save. And yes, the last two is it useful to have simply just to navigate in the field with GPS on screen, and nearly all said, "Oh yes, very very useful." So. But the final report is not published yet, but it will be.
Yes, perhaps I missed it, but do they download all content before they go out on the field survey?
Yes, we on this task, it's free. You can do both. But on this task, where you go in the field, and we in Denmark have areas where it's totally dead. There's no connection at all. So what we do as a standard is that the base maps, they will be downloaded for the municipality you worked in, and the monitoring data. It can be set free, and we will try to do that for the next generation. But on this specific task, we said all the time, download, so you're not in any danger for loss of data. So.
Thank you to Ben.
Yeah.
Yep. That's me again. We are a little behind schedule, I see, but so I will do it quite shortly. Yeah, too many questions, but that's just fine. I'll do it shortly, and it will be a 101 basic introduction to the use of drone technology at the Nature Agency. And I should say that we are actually not using drones systematically at the agency. But we are testing and trying to figure out where can we use the drone technology in the future. And why are we an obvious candidate for testing such technology? Yes, we are all over little Denmark with our local offices. We have at least two subjects where it's obviously using drone could be potentially improve the business. We have a number of tasks in relation to nature conservation and forestry, and we have the National Environmental Monitoring Program. So we are always on the lookout for new technologies where we could improve and innovate in the way we are collecting all these data. So these are the drones that we have at the moment. And I'll just run over here because I brought at least one of them with me. And when we have the next break, the lunch break, you're welcome to come down and have a look at one of this drone. We will not fly the drone inside the auditorium. I can guarantee you that. Not this drone, at least. This is how it looks. If you absolutely want to fly a drone, we have this little guy. You're welcome to fly around with this in the lunch break and practice. And actually, it's not all for fun that we bought that little drone, because it has the same reactions as the big one when you're flying it. So actually, we are recommended to buy such ones as this, because then the other ones wouldn't break so easily or so quickly. Drone technology, we see at least two sort of types of purposes that they can be used for. The one is obviously the qualitative investigations, where you're just using a drone to bring up some photo equipment into the air. That's quite easy, and they are accessible technology. And the other one is the more quantitative investigation, the mapping part of it. That means measuring areas of interest, flying predefined routes, and taking pictures and logging position and so on, and then post-processing of data. And that's more complicated. And we have some difficulties not difficulties, but there are some lack of standards and methods in this field, and that's also one of the reasons why I'm standing here, not just to show them off, but also to hear if any of you have experience in drone technology in your country, and then you are of course welcome to contact me. Up till now, we have seen some challenges. We have it is a technological barrier. They're not easy to fly, these drones. It's not for common people, all these buttons and things, and programming a predefined route and so on. And it's also about building the skills in the organization who should fly those drones. And we have safety regulations, of course, and you will also have in your country safety regulations for flying around. Because obviously people could get a drone in the head, and that wouldn't look very nicely, especially as we have a sticker on it that says it belongs to the ministry. But we lack those standards and guidance with respect to these post-processing methods, and we see that it often cannot replace the existing business processes one-to-one. And developing new methods or introducing new methods it takes time. That means Bent, he had some people looking at aerial photos, and then people were sent out into the field and looking at the plants and so on. Maybe we could make a method where it was just one guy with the drone who's flying the area, and then people at the office could do the field survey in the office instead. And then we would have a more efficient method. But that takes time. You just don't do it overnight, and we have legislation and so on. So we are currently screening in the Nature Agency the use of drones in connection with documentation of nature restoration projects just in general communication to the public about where to experience nature. And we are assessing forest damage when we have storms. We have them in Denmark sometimes. Also mapping of vegetation in shallow fjords in the country would be an area where they could be used. That would be one of the areas where we had to new methods and so on. But bird counts, who knows? Maybe they could be used for that. We do that also. And we have some afforestation cases where people are trying to plant, wants to plant some trees. And then we have to go out in the field and measuring the area and so on. So, in general, monitoring of habitats, mapping the spatial distribution of invasive species. We have done that. That was done by a private company we hired to do it at the west coast of Denmark. And just at the end, and I think we will just let this video run. That's just so you can see what the drone sees when it's flying. And while I'm just starting this, we could start maybe shifting. Oh, that one. We could start shifting the speaker. But you're welcome to, in the lunch break, just in the beginning of the lunch break, I would like to have some lunch too, to come down and look at the drones and talk to me about.
It's not on the screen.
It seems we have some technical issues. Yeah. You're of course also welcome to one question or something like that.
We have now ended the first step in the data flow, the one according to data collection, and we now move to the next part, the data management. And if you remember my presentation, I was talking about the strategy for management environmental data, and we are going to hear more about that in detail and its ongoing implementation. So Sophie and afterward Jesper, please.
Thank you. Well, maybe not so much in detail. I'm trying to keep it brief. I'll tell you about the new data infrastructure for the environmental data in Denmark, and then Jesper will tell you some more about the consolidation of data and systems in the Nature Agency. As Lars told you this morning, and as you've heard many times before today, 2007 was a very important year for us, because there we had the local government reform. And hearing us today, you could think it was the start of all our troubles, because we got so much data, and this data was very decentralized. There was no metadata, several different GIS systems. It was a big inheritance from the local governments that we all got into the Danish Ministry of the Environment. And so, in short, we had very chaotic systems and poor utilization of data and systems. And so we set off to define a strategy for the spatial data in the environmental geographic data strategy. It was an ambitious strategy where infrastructure is one of several action points, and it's the infrastructure we're going to talk about today. And the objectives for the project, the environmental data infrastructure, is to ensure an easy access to the environmental data, and ensure authoritative and standardized environmental data, and to facilitate a more efficient problem solving. And we're hoping to do this by establishing a common environmental data infrastructure for all environmental data, because, and I stress all, because the strategy only comprised geographic data. But when we start working with it, we realize that we can't just look at geographic data when we're talking about environmental data. It's reports, it's monitoring data, it's big databases. Everything has to be fit into this data infrastructure. And we ended up in this one data infrastructure that hopefully will fit all. And based on existing standards and guidelines, we've divided it up into three main parts, with production, internal distribution, and external distribution. And the main division is between production and distribution of data, where we say all data has to be produced in this pillar. And we've divided it up into business domains. So each business domain is responsible for their own production of data. We've concentrated the general infrastructure on the internal distribution. And this was partly because we already had components that we could reuse. And we also had a lot of projects going on with the basic data program and the modeling work that was being done there. So in principle, we could just take our environmental data infrastructure project and follow the guidelines that were being developed in other projects. We chose to prioritize specification and standardization of distribution data and not production data, and with the hope that these guidelines would then be inherited into the production systems. And the challenge is adapting these infrastructures that we have for the basic data and adapting them for environmental data. So what we're hoping to provide the agencies when we're done is a physical infrastructure for internal distribution of environmental data and a core data model for distribution data and transformation services between production databases to the internal distribution database and transformation services and applications from the internal database to external distributions, which are in place already more or less. And Jesper will tell you more about the consolidation in the Nature Data Agency. Yeah. All right.
So, thank you. My name is Jesper Falk Hansen, and I'm working at the Danish Nature Agency as a solution architect. Actually, I think that Lars presented me as a project manager, and I guess I'm that as well. And I am here to talk about a specific project in the Nature Agency, the project of consolidation of systems and data. Lars has already presented the ministry and its organization, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to stress that we are a nature agency. We're not a data agency. Our main concern is actually preserving nature and promoting outdoor activities and so on. And in that work, we use and produce a lot of data, but the main purpose is not data. And then just to put my presentation into perspective, this is the organization of the ministry. We have the ministry level, and Sophie has been talking about the environmental data infrastructure, a project across the different agencies. And then we have a number of agencies where I am representing one agency and talking about one project covering the entire agency concerned with system and data consolidation. But then in our agency we have a number of business, different business domains. And in each of these domains there are a number of specific projects aimed at solving new business needs and requirements. And I think actually if you put this into even broader perspective, we see some of the troubles with Inspire, because this is the complexity within our ministry, and then we multiply that by the number of ministries in Denmark, and then we multiply that by the number of participating countries, and so on. And that's some of the difficulties, at least. I'm going to talk about why have we initiated this project, what are we aiming to achieve, and a little bit about how we are trying to achieve the goals. Why? What is burning? I think you've heard most of it before. 2007 is one reason for why it is burning, and a lack of overview, or at least an accessible overview of the data that the Nature Agency produces and uses are not or have not been available for the past years. And then bullet one, decreasing budgets. It's, I think, not just the Nature Agency or the agencies in Denmark, but I guess across Europe as a whole, that there's a constant demand of efficiency. We need to produce more for less, so we have to be efficient in every task that we solve. We have the same data stored in more than one location or one database, which leads to uncertainty about which data is master data and where to go to update the true data. And then to turn to our solutions or systems, each time we build a new solution in the Nature Agency. In the past, we did it from scratch. That is too expensive and it is too time-consuming in relation to the first bullet here, efficiency. And then, as Thomas mentioned earlier, we experience quite a large dependency on specific employees and specific vendors who are the only ones who know how our solution systems work and how they interact with different pieces of data and so on. So that is what is burning and why it is burning. 2007, the structural reform is one point, and another is that in the Nature Agency for a number of years we have not had dedicated resources to the designing and specification of new solutions or to data management across the different business domains. It's been done in each local department. And that is because of that burning platform that we initiated this project, the recovery project that we call it, which aims at consolidation of system and data. And you could actually argue that it might not be a project as much as a program, because we have a lot of this specific projects in the business domains which contributes to this consolidation. But I'm not going to go into that discussion today and just refer to it as a project. That was a little bit about the why. Now, what are we trying to achieve? The situation today is that a lot of our data is stored in a fragmented and file-based way. I think we have around 1,000 data sets in the Nature Agency stored in that way. And our systems are mainly larger silo systems with very little collaboration between the systems, and not sufficient service interfaces or APIs for one system to interact with another. That is what we're trying to develop away from, and then to something more Lego brick based, with a bit more structure, I think, than this pile of Lego bricks. The mindset is something like a three-tier architecture with a client layer, a business logic or service layer, and a data layer. And what we're trying to promote in our business domains is that each brick, and especially each single piece of data, has to be looked upon as a potentially reusable building block that does not belong to a specific domain or a specific solution, but should be used across the organization. The main focus is reuse. And then a little bit about the connection to the environmental data infrastructure that Sophie presented with this illustration before. You could say that you delivered to us as an agency an empty shelf or bookshelf or whatever, and we have to fill it out. And that's what we're doing in the consolidation process. We're taking this 1,000 data sets and making them into hopefully a lot less business domains, which in which the entire number of data sets are thought as a whole. And from there on, using the infrastructure that Sophie provides, that will enable us to share the data between the domains and also externally. We have two types of deliverables in the project. In like a first aid kind of way, we have to prevent further harm. And harm in this context is stop doing this. And then we have the second set of initiatives concerned with the actual consolidation, the sense of the past, moving the large number of data sets to the new infrastructure. And to support this, we have implemented a development framework or a mindset that we want to use each time we pick up a new project in the organization. That each solution or system or whatever consists of three corners of processes, what are we doing and how are we doing it, of information or data that we use or produce in the processes, and a number of functions that will support the work that we do. And this can be in a digitalized world or in a more manual world, but of course we're aiming at automation. And then what we want to achieve is ownership, and we want to achieve ownership to the processes and the data. The situation beforehand has been that the external vendors in many cases have defined the processes that we have to follow to use their solution, and they have defined the data models, and we want to step away from that and use our own data models. And to implement it, we have developed a number of templates used every time, and in the information corner it's templates like a conceptual model and a logical data model that we as an agency make each time we tender a new solution, and then of course we will have a physical data model that we review before implementation. How? Yeah, we do this every time we pick up a new project. We also, of course, need some kind of governance to secure that we implement this mindset. I think that Lars also already mentioned the screening process, where we for the projects evaluate how they conform to the target architecture. And then in the Nature Agency we have formed a number of internal data working groups, where each working group represent the business domain in our agency. We have 5: monitoring, water, planning, land use, and nature. And then we are promoting the idea that each domain, you produce a large number of data sets, and a lot of them is only relevant to the specific domain and not of interest to others, but some data are of interest to others, and you have to think about that every time, and the data of interest to others should be shared through the internal distribution. And all the set of rules that or structure or data model that Sophie presented have to be you have to comply to that when you share your data. And it is, when we share data between the domains, also this data that we use to share it externally to Inspire or in the environmental portal and so on. So you could actually argue that this initiative is kind of a mini Inspire inside our own organization. Maybe it's too big a word, I don't know. And then I think I'm almost done, but I want to stress that when we model our data in the production systems, there are one main focus, and that is the business needs. And then, of course, when we have looked at the business needs, we need to model the data so that they support the processes that we want to implement in a new solution. We also look at a number of external requirements and standards, like the core data model in the internal distribution, or the Inspire specifications if the solution is concerned with the Inspire data. So there's a number of requirements that we take into account. So just to wrap it up, the strategy that we have chosen at the Nature Agency is that we transform our data to be Inspire compliant. We model in our production systems to support our business, and then we transform to Inspire. I guess you could have chosen another strategy, and it would be interesting to hear if anybody here has chosen another strategy. Anybody here implementing the specifications directly into the production systems? I don't know whether we should do that now or later. But I'm done.
Well, I was involved in this in the Netherlands.
Yeah?
Yeah, so, but I could tell a lot of
but in all of Netherlands or in...
Yeah, all of Netherlands.
Okay.
Yeah, we collaborated with all parties who had this information about the habitat types.
Yeah.
For instance.
Yeah.
So maybe we can exchange.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Jesper.
Thank you.
Okay, we have been talking about it a lot.
again. I'm Anders Windelin from the Danish EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, one of the agencies under the Ministry of Environment. As Lars said, this is a showcase on data collection, management and distribution. I'll go through it quite quickly, but this is about noise reporting. And what is noise? Yeah, well, noise emanates from many different sources, but here the main the focus is noise from transportation systems, well, noise from roads and rails and so on. The obligation to collect data is set down in the Noise Directive from 2002, and it relates to the assessment and management of environmental noise. Some part of it, when I will focus on here, is the obligation to report a strategic noise map, contour maps. A little example of it in the left corner. They have to be reported to EEA, European Environment Agency, and we have to deliver noise map for major roads, major railways, major airports, and agglomerations. You can see more details on the report net at EEA. This dataset was also covered by the INSPIRE obligation, the data specification, human health, and I will say a little bit more about the data. It is actually not directly a measurement. It is, well, traffic counts. So to say, it's a traffic intensity measurements. Mostly, the main responsible is the counties and the state, and they have to collect these data every 5 years and report it. The data report, well, you have seen an example of Jesper. It's a shapefile that have to be reported, values on a daily basis, on a night basis. They're imported to a special database when we produce automatic maps in a test environment, so our noise expert can see them visually, inspect them, and make quality assurance. And when they are approved, they can go into, can be sent into, you can say, production. And I will just give you an example here on the website that the Ministry of Environment has for their data, for their GIS data. And I have taken a pretty relevant example of noise contour maps. I think that's data from where you can see it, Aalborg, for major roads, and you can see the noise is pretty intensive at the highway around Aalborg. So we could also go into more details around the University of Aalborg, and oops, a selfie, but you could also see that the noise is pretty heavy at the bigger roads. Well, these data can, of course, then be also distributed to the INSPIRE portal as a service, as Jakob was telling about. As you may already have noticed, there's actually, you can say, two report obligation here. We have the reporting obligation to EEA, you can say the Noise Directive. We also have to you can say, give our data to Inspire, so they are available. And when we are reporting it to EA, there are also some comments about that the specifications should be compliant to Inspire and so on. But actually, the fact is that the noise data is actually exactly the same that we have to deliver to Inspire and to EAA, but we are doing it twice at the moment. And another fact is also that the DG Environment are responsible for both the noise EU reporting and Inspire, so maybe some more coordination in the future. Well, actually the point here is that the goal must be that no double reporting of exactly the same data sets. And well, if we try to use Inspire as a source of the EU reporting obligation, it will be really, really nice. Because when we create currents between Inspire and the reporting obligation of, well, different themes I've just shown here, noise as one of the themes, it's here we get the real benefits, I think. So a clear connection should be established. Well, that's what the words. Any questions?
Yeah, you already heard, and it is that Inspire data scope is very large. You all know probably, and it's very difficult to tell for those who are not data experts. Jesper was saying the Nature Agency is a nature agency, not a data agency. We do not have UML experts. Well, we have now, didn't have then. And it's difficult and time-consuming to read through all the guidelines and specifications. And again, about the UML. And good things has come as well for with the Inspire. The need for building SDIs, in which we can place reliable and updated and accessible data. Without Inspire, this would probably not have been pushed forward as hard, I think. Some recommendations that we have experienced is that you have to assign time and resources if you want to implement Inspire. You cannot do it with your left hand. It's impossible. And to get the local businesses, early on you saw that the Danish Nature Agency has a lot of local-based businesses, and we also centrally have departments who are based on these specific domains that were shown earlier, and they do not have any clue about what is Inspire and why do we need it. So if you will have a success implementing Inspire, you have to involve the businesses, and yeah, and the point about maintaining your metadata, and that it's not enough just to make it once in a big bang and then it's done. No. If you should use it properly, you should have a maintenance of your metadata, and that's also very hard, especially to get the businesses to understand. It's not enough just to make them. Every time you make a significant change in your data set, you have to change or update your metadata, and that's also an issue. And the point that Anders was just making, it's not just about the noise directive, it's about all the directive who has reporting obligations. You have to double efforts if Inspire and the reporting obligation is not matching. And here is the big business case of Inspire, I think. If the Commission can pull all the reporting through Inspire services, we don't need the same. Well, it's a lot easier for us then, obviously, and it goes by itself. It's automated, so to speak. And to illustrate that some facts, the ministry has its own metadata portal, which delivers to the national metadata portal, the geodata info. And in this, there are approximately 200 metadata sets for which is Inspire, which we know is Inspire, and which we have what specification the actual data set belongs within. But Jesper was talking about the 1,000 data sets, and there are still 800 metadata sets in which we think they are probably Inspire metadata sets or Inspire data sets, but we do not know exactly what specification to put them in. We had a data set in Denmark that is directly translated to protected sites, and when we tried to map it to protected sites, we found that it was not possible to map it. So the scope does not show you everything. You have to get a space. You have to get deeper into the specification to make that certainty. And that's where the work is. That's where the cost is. And you cannot do it without your businesses, people who know what is actually the data set. Challenges. Yeah, I was into that. The duplication of efforts, and it's hard for the businesses to be aware, and the lack of knowledge and resources in the Annex 1 will only get worse when we reach October 15. So there's an even more challenging assignment to get Annex 2 and 3. And yeah, to get I'll just skip it. When is Inspire a success? If we satisfy regulations, if data are used and integrated within the administration, I think that goes without saying. But again, it's a good point, and we should remember it all the time when we work with Inspire. And that is what we've done. We've done it. We have implemented Inspire for the dataset where it makes the most sense first, and then we are gnawing our way through the rest of the datasets as we go along. A driver, the EU reporting obligations, as I've said again and again and again, get that so that the Commission can draw upon it by itself. It's a challenge. We will have to use the extended or the extended data models, but if we can get that up and flying, then the Commission could draw on these data by themselves. That's the picture anyway. And it's also important for you to get your top level management to understand Inspire, if Inspire should be a success. And well, yeah, as we've seen earlier on in the PowerPoints, that the eGovernment plays a part, and well, and that it is on the political agenda. So we are 5 minutes over time, and so I'll just stop it here, I think. But if there is a short question, we will take it, try the best to answer it. Go ahead.
Very hard work to involve the business stakeholders. How do you do that?
Well, we try very hard to get our top-level managers to push from their point of view, and we digest Inspire for them so that they only need to answer very specific digested questions. You know, we do a lot of the work for them to get them to deliver. Excuse me?
Can you show them benefits? Because otherwise there's no reason.
It's difficult. It's difficult. It is the larger picture. It is the picture of when we get on the other side, we get these benefits. There is only one place where data is. You can always find the master data set. You can use and reuse data across the domains, and the endpoint where the Commission can draw their reporting obligations by themselves, so that you will not have to do that. So it's an ongoing process, and it will never end. So. Conclude?
No, I just want to say thank you for participating and thank you for the presenters. We